What I would say to someone that aspires to get into SOC, building a community firstly is very important. I've learned that. What I would tell them is that firstly, you have to see yourself in the role because if you can see it in your mind, you can definitely hold it in your hand. Know that you belong in it. Know that it's very much doable. Know that nothing and no one can tell you otherwise.
Hey, cyber heroes and cyber fans, welcome to another episode. My name is Mr. Fingers, Mr. All Day, Every Day. And today we do have an amazing guest. She's from a cashier to now a cybersecurity hero. Now, let's talk more about her. Her story is super inspiring. She's actually born in Kimberley and raised in Johannesburg. And she's also a powerhouse of determination and grit. Starting as a cashier and a waitress, she worked her way up by seizing every opportunity to learn and grow. After losing her grandmother in 2020, she took a leap into tech, studying software development and quickly making waves in hackathons, winning actually a multi first place title in the hackathon. Her passion for cybersecurity led her to take bold steps, like showing up in person is actually required, as we know, in cybersecurity, but she also showed up in those steps in companies applying, and she wanted to get that particular opportunity, which actually landed her a SOC role. But we're going to talk more about that. One thing I love about this particular individual, I love her grit, I love her hustle, I love her spirit as well. And her journey is super inspiring. Ladies and gentlemen, cyber heroes and cyber fans, please help me welcome Precious. What's up, P?
Yeah, what's up, Mr. Fingers?
You already
Woo!
know.
Thank you for the thank you for the warm welcome. It's really awesome.
Yeah, man. Your story is very inspiring. Imagine you've dabbled, but you showing people and your journey as well. It shows that you've got the grit and you really wanted this so bad. What really motivates you to wanting it? What motivated you to basically want to say, hey, I want to get into tech? What motivated you on
Mhm.
that?
So from as early as I can remember, I've always had such a curious mind, curiosity for tech. I've always wondered how applications work, how applications are configured, websites, how we get to send our messages across. So the core of it was the curiosity that I had. And especially growing up, you know how you don't often come across a software developer. You don't come across someone who is in cyber security, for instance. And then I thought to myself, such people do exist, and I want to be that person where the people that are around me, people in my community that I've been born in, the communities that I've grew up in, are able at the end of the day to say, hey, I know such a person who is in this industry, and have that faith and the belief that it's very much possible. So just it being out of reach made me have such an eager mind, and that's what kept my passion into finally getting into what seems to be impossible for most people.
Yeah, I love that. Let's talk more about you when you were still a cashier. And how did you hear about cybersecurity and what triggered you to be like, hey, I want to learn about
Mm.
cybersecurity? Because when you were a cashier, before you went into cybersecurity, you first studied software development, which we're going to get
Yeah.
through. But how did you learn about cybersecurity? As you mentioned, that depends on where we come from. Like even
Hmm.
we don't know much about cybersecurity. We don't know that there's such a thing called cybersecurity, but we know that there are careers in tech. But when you were in there and working as a cashier, what was going through your mind during that moment in time?
Sure. That was a bit of a long time ago, by the way. But
Yeah.
if I remember, mostly uh, being in that position, seeing the fraudulent activities that were happening around, also engaging with the day-to-day customers and hearing their fraud experiences and hearing the resolutions that they received afterwards, and also just hearing also during the process there's certain investigations that happen either in person as well as virtually. So that sparked that curiosity that, hey, there are certain channels that are in place. There are certain people that do exist who ensure that we are always secured virtually, that our transactions are always protected. So back then, I mean, when I thought about cybersecurity back then, all I was seeing in that moment, what I was being exposed to was, the typical hacker that's wearing a hoodie in the movie and running a script. So I thought, at the same time, I thought that was pretty cool. And I just wondered, what more do they do? Because I mean, if it's in a movie like that, then surely it does exist somewhere. So, just breaking the stereotype, because like they're always portrayed in a certain tone, in a certain physique, and so I've always wanted to see it in a person that represents who I am, and like I said, also people that are in my community in that moment. So,
Love that. And then what inspired you again to
mm,
go into software development? Because you
mm,
studied that. Did you get a bursary for that? Did you pay
mm.
yourself? And which institution did you use?
Okay, so I went to Within Code in Johannesburg, and it's a tuition-free institution. So, which was also, it came at a great timing during that time because I was searching for, I always ask myself questions and hoping to find the answers. So I always wondered what's next? Because at that time I wasn't working, I wasn't studying anything, and I wanted to study. However, the finances at the moment were not allowing. So when I heard about Written Code, and I heard about Written Code at the radio, on the radio, they were interviewing their CEO, and then when she mentioned tuition free, I opened my volume up and wanted to hear more. And then when she mentioned software development and how it's challenging, and that their graduates get placed into internships afterwards, and they get to get do a hands-on work at the workplace. And a part of me felt that I do fit. A part of me was excited in because like I had so much curiosity about applications as well as websites. So truly that's where it started.
Ah, now that makes perfect sense. I mean, tell us more about Within Code. I
Hmm.
think most people who have never heard about Within Code, as you said, it's a obviously non-profit organization which helps
Hmm.
people who are coming from disadvantaged backgrounds and people who want to learn more about it. If I'm correct.
Hmm.
So it's so big and so amazing. I know also quite a few people which Within Code has helped as well.
Hmm.
So when you were going in Within Code and you started, coding and learning how to code and all that. How did you find that? Was it difficult?
Sure. I always say, I mean, I don't believe that the word difficult exists. So I could say that it was challenging. Like I still remember that first day because initially before you get accepted into the cohort, there's a 6-day boot camp that you undergo. So the first couple of days, it was chilled. It was like, okay, let's get used to it. And then just midweek, everything changes, switches up until the last day, which was quite challenging. It was a challenge that I imagined myself coming back and getting more into complex challenges. And then when I was called to come into the cohort, I was out over the moon. I was speechless. And the journey throughout it was challenging. It was also fun because it's a peer-to-peer environment. So you have at least you have that peace of mind knowing that if you get stuck on a certain problem, you can always extend your hand to someone that's in your peer group that could explain it to you quite well. Yeah, and as well as how the whole structure around it is structured in the sense that when you get into the workplace, you don't have to start from scratch. You just hit the ground running. And there were many disciplines I learned along the way because you hold yourself accountable for your assignments. You
Yeah.
hold yourself accountable for also being part of the team that you get to work with. So there were many lessons to be learned. There were many accomplishments to achieve, and we did have fun in between.
Well, and I really love that you actually had
Yeah.
fun while you were doing the work as well. How long was the program?
The problem was around 16 months.
6 months.
Yeah. No, no, 16, 1 6.
Oh, 16 months. That's basically 1 year and how many months? I think 4 months. Yeah,
Yeah.
1 year, 4 months. Oh,
Hmm.
that's interesting. So when you were going through, so I'm the type of person, right?
Mm.
I love scenarios and stories. So that for me, that's who I am. So hence why I'm taking you back and step by step. So when you were there and you
Yeah.
thought to yourself, okay, do I want to become a software developer or do I want to become something else? What was going in your
Mm.
mind? Because obviously, as you said, that in most of these cases, once you're done with obviously the cohort and doing the, you know, studying within code, they
Mhm.
can place you in a certain company or you can go work for a particular company because you already got the experience which they give you inside the company. And I know for you that you're a person who thinks diverse and differently. And I'm sure in your head you were thinking something else. What is going on in your mind?
Well, honestly, in that time, there was this specific company, this banking company that I wanted to be in. So there was no either or. It was like I need to go in that company. So most of the time, also there was this role that I was aiming for. It was aligned with me having studied, having done mobile applications development in my last year, in the last few months of the cohort. And then honestly, that was what was on my mind because they give you three options to choose between three companies, but I had my mind set on that very, very specific company. And then there were processes I went through, interviews, and I feel like for me, somehow it felt like software development was a field that as time went, right? Because I guess I wasn't being absorbed to intern at that moment. So as time went, I started questioning, do I see myself long term in software development? Like just researching what's happening currently in software development, how are the jobs, and the future, how the future looks for me. So I could say along the way, that's where my curiosity for cybersecurity resurfaced because it was there uh, throughout the years. Then that's where it resurfaced more. And then I thought to myself, I mean, I haven't been absorbed by any company to intern. Perhaps this is where rather I'm supposed to be at, which is cybersecurity.
I see that also hackathons have played a very big role in your life, in your career growth. When most people don't know what a
Hmm.
hackathon is, do you mind explaining to us what a hackathon is for people at home who are sitting in terms of what goes on in the hackathon?
Yeah.
What is a hackathon? Because what really happens in the hackathon?
Okay. Sure. So a hackathon, they differ. You find other companies that host a hackathon for a week, like the African Bank Hack that I was in last year, Monday to Saturday. And then others, they post it for Friday until Sunday. So they differ. So in the hackathon, what happens is that you're given this problem, right? And
Hmm.
then you're given different scenarios on how to tackle the problem, but they're not telling you how per se, but rather guiding you towards it, whether they want you to solve the problem using AI or using an application or using machine learning, for instance. And then you get assigned other hackathons, you get assigned team members. Other hackathons, you're allowed to bring in your team members kept at a certain amount of people. And then you basically don't sleep, whether it's that whole week. That whole week at African Bank, I did not sleep. I was just taking naps in between. And then you continue working towards the solution. Because I mean, in those hours, you can imagine, even if it's like from Friday to Saturday, you find that your solution breaks. You find that some team member didn't hold themselves accountable to do the part that they were supposed to do. So you have to step in because at the end of the day, on the last day, you have to present to the judges, you have to present to the rest of your colleagues where you're presenting a working solution, whether your solution is an app or it's virtual reality or it's a website, whatever that the hackathon hosts require from you. So the ones that I've been a part of in most instances, the duration is from Friday to Saturday, so it's quite fast paced and it's quite exciting as well when you think about the presentation and the prize money, of course.
And most people who don't know this, you actually won one hackathon before. Take us through
Mhm.
your experience through that. How was the experience of going through the hackathon and participating in that hackathon?
Okay, so if I can remember the last one that I was a part of, the last one that I took part in, was last year November, and sure. What happened there, initially it started as a virtual attendance. I started on a virtual attendance. It started at about midweek, around Wednesday, I think. And then, so there's this team member that we were in a team prior to that hack. So, and then we won that hack with other team members. So there were a bit of squabbles there. We saw it's okay, certain people are not working. So on the side, we spoke that, hey, how about we enter this hack, just the two of us, and then we'll see how we go throughout it. And then, cool, he agreed. And then Friday, because I had told him that on Friday I'll come to the venue because he started off in the venue. And then I showed him that Friday late I'll come to the venue and then we continue off. And then things changed around. Oh, my bad. I was supposed to go in on a Saturday morning. So on
Mhm.
Friday late, that's where I think he started panicking because most people were on the premises with their team members. However, I gave him assurance that as I'm here, I'm working. I'm not just chilling. I'm doing the work. I'll make sure that I'm there on time on Saturday. We prepare and then we can also prepare for presentations. On the last minute, he decided that he's jumping ship to another team, and then I was left alone throughout the hike. And then a part of me wanted to quit. I mean, you can imagine having to put in the solution within a day. And then I have a friend of mine whom I went to school with. So I just spoke to my friend that, hey, here's this hack. Someone bailed up on me last minute. Would you like to be a part of it? And then she enthusiastically agreed to join. And that's how we continued and went to present and brought home the prize money.
Yo, how much did you guys win?
Sure, I'd like to say it, but if like you look in my LinkedIn, there are some clues there on LinkedIn. There are
Okay,
some,
okay, okay. No,
yeah.
that's fine. We'll get to that. That's fine. That's fine. I mean, that really gave you experience. And imagine if you have given up during that time and moment,
Mm,
you are not gonna win. And
yep.
you know, and I think one of your quotes and one of the things which you keep to yourself and you always say is mindset is everything, right? If you tell
Mm-hmm.
yourself that you can. If you tell yourself that this is easy, it's easy. If you tell
Yeah,
yourself that it's hard, you've already lost the battle in your mind. It's gonna be hard as well.
absolutely. Mm-hmm.
Right. Now let's talk more about your journey now. After this hackathon, you've won. Cool. And that
Yeah.
is amazing. That's great. And now you're gonna be you're drawing a map that you want to work in cybersecurity.
Mm.
You've come across videos, you've come across certain things, you've even joined my group on that time of being in cybersecurity, and now you have a plan of wanting to jump to cybersecurity. How did
Yeah.
it go about? Most people don't know this story. How did it go about in terms of you applying for internships? Because
Mm.
people maybe think that you were just maybe just applied for one and then you got the internship, but they don't know the story behind it. But how did it go
Yeah.
about for you?
So, because during that time, we should shout out to your group as well, because I also got to be motivated and saw that it's possible getting into the industry. So, with that said, I noticed the pattern because I like also holding myself accountable in that when I'm doing a certain thing over and over, but I'm getting the same result, then I just look back on what are the common patterns, what can I do different. So I saw that, okay, I was applying, kept on applying online, but getting the same response over and over. And then just decided this one time, hey, let's hit up my friend, the one that I won the hackathon with. And then I told her, let's go to the office park. Let's do something different. Let's go to the office park. Let's knock on those doors. Let's ask what opportunities are there, and then we went in, asked about tech companies. We got some emails. Surprisingly, we would hear that certain vacancies are there, but they are not updated either on LinkedIn or on their website yet. And then I came across this other specific section of the office park. And then when we came out of that office, I remember it was on the first floor. And then as we came out, we saw a banner written cybersecurity. And then that's when I remembered that, hey, I studied cybersecurity. I finished the coursework into cybersecurity. Let's go into the company and ask what are they doing, what roles are they, or if they're hiring in that moment, and only to find out that the role that I'm in was actually vacant for.
And how did you feel when you were when you were called to be interviewed for the internship? And what were the requirements? Most people don't know this as well. Um, in terms of, did they require certain certifications? Were they looking
Mhm.
for certain things, skill sets as well?
So, well, when I got that call, I still remember I was over the moon. I was thrilled and nervous at the same time. So because it was for an internship role, the requirements were you having that tech background. So I think on my end, the fact that I did software development, and because I remember one of the managers was impressed that I knew Linux as well as Python. And then they saw that I also enrolled with another institution for cybersecurity, that I had just completed it. They also saw that I mentioned having a certificated try hack me certification. So mostly that interview, I could say it was about them. They created, it was different in the sense that they created their own scenarios. So I remember even during the interview, there were certain scenarios that I had to solve for. There were certain multiple choice questions that were theoretically based that I had to answer, which is what I appreciated, that they had their own unique interview style. So mostly I was required to know, because there were two segments of it. So I remember on the second segment, I was required to know about the 7 layers. I had to explain just the minimal knowledge that I know around them and how the protection on each work. So I could say mostly it was the theory that you get when you study the initial introduction to cybersecurity.
Yeah, it's quite interesting. And the 7 layers, and a lot of people still
Hmm.
struggle with that they don't understand that networking is the backbone of cybersecurity. And a
Yep.
couple of months later, now you have passed your internship, and well done to
Mhm.
you. And now
Thank
you
you.
are a full-time security engineer. So you're a full-time SOC engineer, sorry, and well done to you. We need more females in this industry, and that's one thing which I'm always rooting for. For somebody sitting at
Yeah.
home and they're saying, "Hey, I'm watching this video, and Precious, you quite inspired me about your journey
Hmm.
and where you are." What advice would you give to somebody who's sitting there and like, "Okay, I want to also jump into cybersecurity,
Hmm.
but I don't know where to start." What advice would you give to such a person?
All right, cool. Also, shout out to you for advocating for women. So yeah, we definitely do need more women in the industry. So what I would say to someone that aspires to get into SOC, building a community firstly is very important. I've learned that. Belonging in that community that you aspire to be in, sharing the knowledge, asking more questions that you have, and also implementing for instance, when they're suggesting certain study material that you need to study. And what I would tell them is that firstly, you have to see yourself in the role, because if you can see it in your mind, you can definitely hold it in your hand. So you have to see yourself. You have to know that you belong in it, know that it's very much doable, know that nothing and no one can tell you otherwise. And then try hack me is your best friend when you're starting out. I've gotten to learn that. And also learning from people that are in the industry, like how I would also learn from you as well, as to how to keep myself with the current skill sets that are relatable in the industry. So I would say, and also having an eager mind. There's one text that I saw, it was a comment that I saw from you. on LinkedIn where you said that being in cybersecurity, you shouldn't relax because the minute that you know when you're just too comfortable to relax, just know that something is going wrong. So that's what I apply also, even when I'm at work, that I can't just sit for so many hours and not be doing anything and just be thinking that there's nothing happening because there's definitely something happening out there. I just need to apply myself to find it. But of course, finding the balance in between, finding the balance to recharge, recuperate, and because then if you recharge and you recuperate back, you're able to fully apply yourself during the time where you're either learning or during the time where you working in the current role that you're in. So I would say that it's also important to align with what you're passionate about, and not only about what pays more out there. It's really important to also be honest about yourself that if I get into this role long term, am I able to hold it down in terms of like applying yourself every time and showing up for yourself? So research also plays a very important role.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's pretty much what I could say is that just know that you deserve it, that you're worthy, and somehow things do align on your side.
100%. And that's very much true. I love everything that you said, and I totally agree as well. I think one thing which you mentioned as well, two things which you mentioned as well, is that believe in yourself. I think, especially when you're working in cybersecurity, in the SOC as well. Let me speak from that perspective. When you're working
Mhm.
from the SOC, for those people who don't know what a SOC is, so a SOC is a security operation center, and so this is where most of the time alerts come in, and you have to investigate certain alerts coming in from a client's perspective, and then you have to inform clients if you're seeing anything which is malicious or something which it's very malicious. Let's put it in that sense. But what you said there, believing yourself is very important, because there are days where sometimes you would doubt yourself and you
Mhm.
think you're not capable, because maybe you always comparing yourself to somebody else, always comparing yourself to a team member who's good or better than you. And that's the
Mhm.
thing, I've learned that nobody's better than you and nobody can be you. That's why your fingerprint is even different, and you are different. You're born different. You're born in a different place, in a different family, for a reason and for a purpose. And you just
Mhm.
have to excel in everything that you do. And another thing which you said was research. Most people don't understand that in cybersecurity, we're always researching everything. You see something new, you put it on Google, like, what the heck is this?
Yeah.
And research is important. And let's talk more, obviously, about research. How important
Mhm.
is research in terms of that? Because I get people who are going to ask me questions where they could be researching that particular question.
Mm.
How important has research played a part in your role so far?
Sure. I could say that it plays currently it plays a very, very huge role because I even have different platforms. I have a platform on my phone that I use to get the latest cybersecurity feeds for when I also need to compile my reports. I have different AI tools. I just also keep going on LinkedIn on a daily basis because I was telling someone the other day that LinkedIn is not just about you going in and looking for a job or making connections. It's also about you finding the latest on what's happening in the field that you're currently in, or what you have with the people that you have followed, what they're talking about. So research, on a percentage, I would say research makes up 60 or 80% of what SOC is about, because then you're in a path where you literally say, for instance, like you mentioned with alerts, right? You find a certain alert, you can't just go in the wherever you guys communicate with your team and ask, because chances are it's 12 a.m. and everyone is asleep, and you're seeing that something is happening, but you have to take it upon yourself to even research where the part that it's occurring. You have to research the the file, for instance, and find out that has such a file been reported before, and where does it originate from, or what's happening around that. So yeah, research. I can't emphasize it enough that, like, if
100%.
you're someone that shies away from research, if, for instance, you were someone when, like, back at school, you were told to write an essay and you just, unfortunately, you were someone that just wrote a paragraph and you were not expressive, then yeah, but you need to always be eager. You need to always, because then you can't just rely on what a teammate says, because your team member may see it. Like, also, perception is very important because they may perceive it in a certain way. However, you find that when you do your own research and you gather your own information, that actually this is how it goes. And also, it plays a part in how you're able to express yourself when you have to explain it to the clients, or you have to explain it to your manager, for instance, or even when you have to explain it to a team. Gives you that confidence that, hey, I've done so much research and this is why. Because, for instance, even at work, yeah, I haven't told you this before, but there was a time where I think it happened twice now, and then a colleague will text me, for instance, that, hey, they just text me a screenshot of a certain alert that's probably a high alert, and they'll tell me, hey, you missed this alert. Then I would ask them, since you think that I missed it, what does it say? How does it communicate to you? Why do you think that I should have reported it? And then you find that they just say it's high, it seems malicious, you didn't report it. Then I come back to them with screenshots and, hey, I did my research. This is the tool that I use. These are my reasons why I didn't report it. Because if you look at it, it's a false positive. And then I even tell them that had it occurred on this part, or if the parent process of this process was this, then it definitely makes it malicious. And that's how you're also able to take yourself out of certain instances where, if you didn't do much research, you would panic and maybe fold into it. But having done your research, you're able to speak and stand confidently, and they will know that you know how to do your work. So,
That is amazing. And I can see, and even I'm sure our audience can see that you've learned so much and you've grown so much in your role. And obviously, before you leave, do you mind telling us a bit more about your role? What is your role and what is your title? What is that you do
mm-hmm.
on a day-to-day basis?
Okay. So I'm a level one SOC analyst. So on a day-to-day basis, I'm required to analyze certain alerts that we get on our SIM tool. And then I'm required to report those alerts, to communicate with the clients and ask them to do their necessary investigations. And while I tell them about certain alerts, I'm supposed to also inform them what the software was about that I'm reporting on, and also provide them certain mitigations to follow. And then I'm also required to compile reports every week, because we get assigned to certain clients, on the multiple clients that we're taking care of. To every week, you send them a report about the cases that have been reported to on that week. And then you just also inform them about how they can further protect themselves. And also, I'm also required to, because what I like about the role that I'm currently in, they allow us to be flexible in a sense, because then I'm not limited into searching for certain threats that exist outside of just the alerts that I'm getting on a day-to-day basis. So I have to take it upon myself to learn more about the tool that we're currently using, so that I know that, okay, I can explore certain processes, or go on the client's assets and just check what's not a normal activity. I can check a certain client that, all right, their CPU is running high. Just check why and let them know, and also engage with them that, hey, this is what's happening. Suggest that this is what you can do. One, two, three. And apart from that, what else am I required to do? I could say that since it's still a new role, other parts I'm learning from, I'm learning about them, and then other parts I just communicate with my team as we go on a day-to-day basis. And on that, just to add on that, I work 2 day shifts, from 8 to 8, and then 2 days off, and then I go for 2 night shifts as well from 8 to 8. But my favorite part about day shift is that at 4 I come back home, and I don't stay far from the office, but I come back home, then I continue working virtually up until 8. And I mean, being in SOC, you don't have your Saturday, Sunday, weekends. It happens sometimes, probably like once a month. Sometimes it happens that you're off Sunday or you're off on Saturday. You just make it work, because I mean, most people are not off during the week. so you get to have the luxury of being off during the week. And I enjoy the night shift as well. It's not as bad as maybe the someone that's hearing it, that's hearing this could think that, hey, you work night shift 8 to 8. It's not bad. You make it work, you make it fun, you make it flexible. Because hence I said 80% of research makes my current role. Because during those times, how to keep the time going, that's when I do most of my research. That's where I just let my curiosity. When people are sleeping at 12 a.m. or 3 a.m., curiosity is running wild and just finding out stuff that you wouldn't have found on maybe during the day or just on a typical day.
Yeah, the whole shift thing. Yeah, I won't lie to you. I don't miss it from my side. But obviously, this is for people who want to come in, and I won't lie. Working in the SOC is a great place also to be starting out in your career.
Mhm.
And also it's an amazing place to work in and to grow in as well. I also
Yeah.
won't lie, I really appreciate working in the SOC. And what are your plans for the next 3 years? Where do you see yourself in the next 3 to 4 years from now?
Mm. Well, outside of this interview, I would tell someone that, hey, life is what you make of it in the present moment right now. But in the next 3 years, where I see myself, I honestly want to be in a position where I'm doing things that are more challenging, things that I thought were out of reach when I started a career. I want to see myself in a position where in a flexible position, being able to travel and go see different clients and go provide certain mitigations. Because one thing I love about cybersecurity is that the solutions that we solve are things that you people are facing on a day-to-day basis. The challenges that we solve are they're not out of reach. They're things that are very much practical in our day-to-day lives. So I want to be as involved as possible in the next few years. I don't just want to be behind my laptop only. I want to be involved. I want to honestly, I want to grow. I want to sure. I just want to do a lot more. However, I want to be as comfortable as possible in terms of the SOC, because like you had mentioned, starting out in the SOC gives you so much background. It gives you so much knowledge about having to climb up the ladder. So in the next 3 years, certain parts about SOC that I'm not comfortable in right now or not exposed to right now, I would love to see myself being comfortable to work with, being having like that more exposure and having the confidence just to, if I decide to like move into a different stock, I'm able to just hit the ground running when I get there. So more knowledge to acquire, of course, along the way. And yeah,
Yeah,
having more fun as well. Yeah.
yeah, lovely, amazing. One last word before you leave is that for anybody who wants to come into cybersecurity and they're saying, I want to
Mm-hmm.
do it for money, what's your advice for that?
Honestly, I would say that if that's your take on it, you'd be humbled, especially when you're starting out. Um, I would say that going on the right steps or learning the right path, that could be a reality, you doing it for the money. But overall, I would say that on the days where you're not productive, on the days where you're not getting into that investigation as you would want to get into it, or you're not reaching a certain target that you've put for yourself. If you're in it for money, on those days, actually, it will be quite frustrating. So I'll tell that person that have an open mind, have an open mind to learn rather, and just instead, just watch the money coming in for you, where else you focused on being more informed. You just focused on solving the problems. Because what keeps me motivated on the days where, hey, I don't want to go to work, I just be thinking that I need to go solve a problem. I need to go provide a certain mitigation. Sometimes when I'm off, I worry about my clients that, hey, I just hope everything is running fine. I just hope that they are protected as they should be. So money shouldn't be the main factor. I mean, it does come with the territory of it, but definitely the curiosity, the problem solving should be at the forefront, and the eagerness to learn as well would be should be on the forefront.
From your experience right now, and are there any certs that you are working for right now?
Okay. Cool. Well, thank you for having me also. So what I'm working on right now is networking. And yeah, because at the same time, what another advice that I would give to someone is that don't try to bite onto so many, because it's very tempting to be doing a lot of certs at like in one period or in one goal. But you allow yourself the time to learn as you are able to, because then it ensures that you're learning quality work and that you're able to therefore apply it into real life scenarios. So currently Cisco networking is what's keeping me busy, and when I'm done with that, I'm like there's this other certification that I want to ask you more about, and yeah, we'll just take it from there afterwards, because I am in a position where I need to make sure that my networking fundamentals are strong, and yeah, just to also be exposed more into, because I believe networking is the core fundamentals of cybersecurity.
Now, I really appreciate you making time for this. And yeah, thank you again, once again, for making it. And we really appreciate you for sharing your knowledge, sharing your experience, and also
Uh,
sharing all and everything and of who you are.
Thank you so much for having me as well.